Okay, my name is Sydney LaDuke, and this is the second lesson plan critique, and my lesson is Play-Doh Earth. This is just kind of what the lesson plan looked like as a whole. This lesson is focused towards first and second grade. For the lesson objectives, so the description of the lesson is it's a hands-on activity involving Play-Doh to show your students the layers of the earth. It's important for the students to learn this because it's the cause of many different events on Earth, such as like continental drifting, and so you can use this or kind of as like a starting point in your lesson to explain like those events that the layers of the Earth cause. The lesson planning objectives. So the original objective was pretty straightforward, and it was kind of lacking a bit. It wasn't very specific, but it said students will be able to understand the layers of the earth. So I looked at the Bloom's taxonomy and kind of interchanged understand with locate and define to make the objective more specific. These are the materials, so board markers, layers of the earth worksheet, which I'll show later. What the earth is made of worksheet, Play-Doh, inside the earth worksheet, a boiled egg, and a butter knife. And then these are the three worksheets. The worksheet on the left, it's kind of, in the lesson it says it's kind of as an option. So while you're doing it, if you have more time during the lesson, you can slide that in there as a filler. So looking at the procedure, I actually really like this procedure, and there wasn't a whole lot to change. It was very specific on like what you should say like as a teacher and like the questions that you should ask your class during the lesson. And then I like that it included the differentiation section that promotes more questions for you students. So under the differentiation section for enrichment, it says ask your students to come up with their own analogies to the earth and what it's made of. Have them give their examples to their peers. And then if your students have extra time, that's where you would slide in the extra worksheet. For the support section, have your students gather in the back, get an egg, and use a knife to create cracks in it. Tell your students that the outside of the egg is like the crust and it has cracks. After that, peel off the egg and compare the white part to the mantle as it takes up most of the mass. And then after that, dig through the yellow and compare that to the core. Throughout this procedure, like I said, there's many detailed explanation throughout, and I think it's pretty detailed enough that this lesson could be repeated accurately. So for the assessment part, it says walk around while your students are completing the worksheets and making sure that they are identifying the parts of Earth accurately. And then after that is over, so the review and kind of closing of the lesson as a whole, you would divide your class into groups of 3, pass out 3 different colors of Play-Doh to each group, and tell each group to construct 3 layers of Earth using the Play-Doh. I really like this assessment overall. It's a usual like summative assessment given it's at the end of the lesson. But the one thing that I would change is instead of splitting your class into groups, I would do it individually, so that way you can look at each student's individual understanding and they can create their own model of how they think the layers of the earth would work. And then for critical perspectives, for context, the context of this material is universal and can be used to educate all demographics. For the critique in this lesson can be used to explain a phenomena like the drifting of continents. And then overall, the content is relevant because you could use this lesson, as I said, like a starting point to the other events that happen on Earth due to the nature of its layers. That's it. You have any questions? Yeah.
Are you able to eat the egg at the end?
I'm sure the teacher could if she wanted to. Anything else?